Alright guys, so today I'm going to cover a couple different lineman belt options that are one-hand adjustability. They are very cheap, they're effective, and they're safe. Just a couple options to replace, mechanical sending device like the Ropeman shoe that a lot of guys are using, which is a great option. But just that mechanical sending device alone is costing you 50 upwards to like 75 bucks. There's other options that are like the Petzl ones that are, you're pushing over $100 just for a mechanical sending device. So this option, which is my primary option, the one that I've used for quite a while, is I'll use 1-inch webbing. You can use 1-inch flat webbing or 1-inch tubular webbing. This happens to be tubular webbing just because I have so much of it laying around. It's like I said, this literally cost me nothing. To replace the mechanical sending device, I use a cam buckle. Like I said, you probably have one of these laying around. If not, you can probably buy one for less than $5. Just as long as it's a cam buckle that you trust. We're trusting cam buckles to hang our sticks and stands, so why can't we trust one for a lineman's belt? To connect it to the carabiner, again, just a 1-inch piece of webbing tied in a water knot here, and this side is permanently attached. By permanently attached, I just mean there's not a carabiner there, but I keep it permanently attached. I just stuff it in my dump pouch so I'm not using it. But this is a overhand on a bike, so kind of use it. Same thing you'd use, or in the same way you would use any lineman's belt with the mechanical sender. So you just attach it. Once you're up, once you're connected, it works the exact same way as any mechanical sending device. You just grab your tag end, adjust it with one hand to tighten, and then just press the little lever on your cam buckle to loosen. And it's one-hand adjustable, and now you're spending $3 to $5 versus the 50 to upwards of $100 for a mechanical sender. Okay guys, the second option is for guys who or maybe already running a rope as your lineman's belt, and you're already running a friction hitch. If you're already doing that, you're already 90% there. All you need is a small little D-clip. This D-clip will cost you probably roughly 50 cents if you can find one. I took one off of a shoulder carrying strap off of like a backpack. And that D-clip is just attached to 550 cord just to your carabiner. Now, this isn't load bearing by any means. All this D-clip does is just hold the friction hitch, which mine is a Prusik. It just holds that into place, which allows one-hand adjustability. Versus traditionally, it takes two hands to adjust your Prusik. So, as always, once your friction hitch is loaded, it's not going anywhere. But instead of having to hold the friction hitch with one hand and to tighten it with the other, with this little D-clip there, I can now use one-handed adjustability. So when I pull against it, this D-clip makes contact with my friction hitch, which allows one-handed adjustability. And same thing to loosen it as any friction hitch. You just grab it, give it a little pinch, and slide it down your main rope. So again, the only thing you really need is just a small D-clip, secure with 550 cord onto your point of attachment. And the only thing that's critical is just the length of this. Just making sure that the length is short enough to whenever you turn it against, that 550 cord gets tight. Because if it's too long and your D-clip starts to climb on top of your friction hitch, it's not going to work. So just kind of play with it until you see, once it's loaded and you pull against it, that your D-clip is tight and makes contact with your friction hitch. So that way it'll actually work one-handed. Alright, so as promised, I'm going to give you a close-up of the nuts and how I'll have them tied in my saddle. So again, you don't have to use an actual saddle in order to incorporate these lineman belts into your climbing technique. If your safety harness just has, lineman's hookups, then that'll work. You don't have to use an actual saddle. But this is my saddle, seen from the rear, this is the right, this is the left. First we'll cover is the webbing lineman's belt. So my webbing's lineman's belt, I have it permanently attached to the lineman's loop on the left side. It's attached with an overhand on a bite knot. Moving on to the cam buckle. So again, I use the cam buckle to replace mechanical ascender. At the end, the tag end, at the free running end of the lineman's belt itself, just incorporate a stopper knot. My stopper knot is just a figure 8. To attach your cam buckle to your carabiner, again, 1-inch webbing. This 1-inch webbing is tied into a water knot. I use a little bit of tape to kind of, 1, hold down my tag ends on my water knot, and then 2, it just kind of keeps it nice and rigid, where I have like a nice positive hookup when I'm connecting to the lineman's loop on my other side. But pretty straightforward. Probably not a whole lot of questions on that. But moving forward to the friction hitch, kind of how I have it tied in. Again, tied in permanently to the left hand side using a figure 8 on a bite. Both these you could easily, instead of permanently attach, you can just have that loop on a carabiner and you can take it on and off if you choose to do so. But the friction hitch itself that I'm using is a Prusik. Prusik probably the most common friction hitch, at least in the hunting world. So 6-rat Prusik, again pretty standard. Just the only thing like additional to just a standard Prusik is just this little D-ring down here. So this D-ring, again, nothing load bearing about it. All it's doing is just holding that friction hitch into place. So the D-ring, I just have it attached to 550 cord and then just tied here on the carabiner. So the only thing crucial about it, so the length of your actual Prusik from the Prusik itself to the carabiner, let's just say that's 6 inches, and then the length of your 550 cord and your D-ring to your carabiner needs to be approximately about 1.5 inches, 2 inches shorter. So let's call that about 6. So this would be, roughly about 4. It needs to be shorter so that way you can actually use it one-handed. So when you go to tighten this thing up with one-handed, the reason it needs to be shorter is this D-ring will make contact with your friction hitch and hold it into place. If it's too long, it's going to kind of want to climb up on top of it, and it's not going to work very well. But again, you just got it, and you'll pull against, and it'll just slide freely. If it's not sliding freely for you, more than likely, just your 550 cord attaching to your carabiner is a little bit too long. And again, free running in on the tag end, just incorporate a stopper knot. Again, my stopper knot to a figure 8. But all these knots, whether if it's the figure 8 on the end, the 6-rat Prusik, the overhand on a bite, or figure 8 on a bite, any questions with these knots, probably the best resource to go is to Animated Knots. It's a good place to go and learn how to tie knots, or just ensuring your time correctly. But any questions, comments, concerns, hit us up in the comments, and ensure to like and subscribe.